Good evening and welcome to ITV News. This is Monday night's calendar.
Hello, good evening. Here are tonight's main stories.
A dream becoming reality, a major step forward for Rob Burrow Centre for Motor Neurone Disease, with his family there to lend a hand.
This is the floor, we're in the floor, yeah. To be here and, to kind of see it being, that vision brought to life is really special.
Exactly 3 years after Fawziyah Javed's murder, the police watchdog confirms it's investigating how West Yorkshire officers treated her family.
It feels so surreal and like a horrific nightmare that I'm going to one day wake up from.
A warrior on the pitch, a gentleman off it. Tributes to the former Leeds United captain Sol Bamba, who's died at the age of 39.
I've started to eat food, which is a little bit better than just soup.
And biting back, how former miner David can finally eat solid foods again after his year-long wait for vital dental treatment. So first tonight, it's taken the combined blood, sweat and tears of thousands of charity runners and fundraisers. But today, the Rob Burrow Centre for Motor Neurone Disease took one huge step to becoming a reality.
12 weeks after the rugby league star's death from the disease, his children, his wife Lindsay and his mum and dad made their handprints in concrete as the foundations of the unit took shape in Leeds.
Well-wishers have donated millions to create what will be the first purpose-built centre of its kind in the country. And charity bosses today said they're just a little over £250,000 short of the fundraising target, which will make the dream come true. John Hill reports.
Right, Jackson, when you put it down, you're going to press really hard, bud it, and try and open your fingers.
Some last-minute instructions for Jackson from mum Lindsay.
Make sure we've got one in each.
It's no easy task making your mark on history when you're just 5 years old and the gloves they've given you are all fingers and thumbs.
1, 2, 3.
But they didn't need to worry. Jackson and his older sisters, Maya and Macy, did their dad proud. And then they even got to lay some of the first bricks as well.
I know how much this centre means to Rob and, I'm sure he'll be watching down really proud of us today, and I think it's a huge milestone and it's, such an honour and privilege to be here today.
And you've made a lasting mark as a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the floor.
This is the floor, we're in the floor, yeah. To be here and, to kind of see it being, that vision brought to life is really special.
This is all about friendship, this marathon. It's about running together, it's about getting everybody through.
The work that Rob Burrow did, sharing his diagnosis and journey with the disease, raised the profile of MND. And it's thanks to him, his family and the thousands of fundraisers they inspired that the new purpose-built Centre of Excellence is being built at Seacroft Hospital. For Rob Burrow's parents, today, a big milestone.
It's been a tough summer for us. It's 12 weeks yesterday that Rob passed away. We miss him every day.
It's all right. Yeah.
I'll never miss him when there's places like this. He's made a difference.
He has, hasn't he, Irene?
He has, yeah. We're so proud, aren't we? And he'll be looking down today and he'll be so proud of his kids and Lindsay and the family and, thanking everybody for what they've done. What they're achieving today. He'll be so proud, bless him.
You can draw on it now with your things, can't you?
Drawing her own message of hope was the consultant neurologist who led Rob Burrow's care.
I wrote Living in the Now, which is the ethos with which I've built the centre.
And that makes sense, perfect sense today.
It does today, It is all about living in the now. Life is short. We must make the most of it.
The number of people referred to the existing Leeds MND Centre has doubled in recent years. The hope here is that this new centre, with specialist areas including speech therapy and diet, will offer them care that is second to none. John Hill, ITV News, Leeds.
For more of the day's news now, and 2 men and a 19-year-old woman have been arrested on suspicion of murder after a man was stabbed to death in Barnsley. Burton Road in Monk Bretton was closed yesterday after police were called to a report of an altercation between a group of men. A 41-year-old man died at the scene. 2 men were also arrested on suspicion of a number of related offences, including a fray. All 5 people remain in police custody.
And police are appealing for CCTV footage after a pilot died in a light aircraft crash in Chesterfield. The plane came down near an industrial estate off Sheepbridge Lane yesterday morning. Derbyshire Police has confirmed that the pilot, who was in his 70s, was the only person on board and that his family have been told.
The mother of a Leeds woman who was murdered by being pushed off Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh says the family's lives have been ripped apart by unimaginable pain and grief.
It's 3 years to the day since Fawziyah Javed was killed by her husband. Today, the Independent Office for Police Conduct confirmed it's investigating the way West Yorkshire officers have treated her family after her death. It's already looking into whether the force missed chances to protect her.
Well, earlier today, a memorial bench dedicated to Fawziyah's memory was unveiled, with campaigners hoping it will help keep the focus on preventing violence against women. Gordon Cree reports.
On the third anniversary of her daughter's murder, Fawziyah's mum came to the scene of her death for the first time. Through the gloom of a wet and misty day, there were positive reflections on how she'd been a beacon of light in many people's lives. But there was also acknowledgement of the horrendous ordeal her family have been going through.
It feels so surreal and like a horrific nightmare that I'm going to one day wake up from. I still cannot get my head round what's happened, and I never will. 3 years ago this evening, Fawziyah and her unborn baby lost their lives in the most horrific and brutal way. We have had our lives ripped apart and been brought to our knees with our unimaginable pain and grief.
Fawziyah, who was 31, had been visiting Edinburgh with her husband in September 2021. At the time, she was 17 weeks pregnant. He'd been subjecting her to domestic abuse and coercive control. She'd been planning to leave him when he pushed her 50 feet to her death. Kashif Anwar was convicted of her murder and is now serving a life sentence.
We had Kashif, who was never ever going to tell us the truth, and Fawziyah, whose voice and ability to tell us what had happened, Anwar thought he could take away. But he didn't manage that. Despite his actions, Fawziyah had the strength to hold on and tell what had really happened to her, and that changed everything for us.
As she lay dying, Fawziyah had managed to tell a walker and a police officer that she'd been pushed. Crucial evidence in securing the conviction.
In life, Fawziyah's connection with Edinburgh was only fleeting, and it ended on the side of the hill just over there. Her family hope this bench will be a permanent link between her and the city, and a reminder of a life lost to male violence.
We must commit into raising our children not to be abusers. We must educate our boys, our men, our fathers, our brothers, because this isn't enough to teach our daughters how to be safe and how to survive. We must create a culture where women are safe in their homes, safe in their relationships, and safe in their communities.
Fawziyah had previously made complaints about domestic abuse to police in West Yorkshire. 2 reviews are currently looking at whether enough was done to protect her and what lessons can be learned. Today's ceremony ended with a minute's silence, but a determination the voices of others facing similar abuse won't be ignored. Gordon Cree, ITV News, Edinburgh.
Well, thank you very much for being with Lisa and me for Monday night's calendar. And still to come on the programme, Yorkshire's very own Golden Girls. Hannah and Kadina steal the show in Paris as they bolster Paralympic GB's medal haul.
And as if we didn't already know, this summer has been rather cool, damp and cloudy here in the north of England. But is there any better news for September? I'll have all the weather details in a few minutes.
The leader of the Conservative group on Bolsover District Council has defected from the party to join Reform UK. Councillor Carol Wood said she was quitting the Tory party because of what she called Conservative backstabbing and Brexit betrayal, and telling Ashfield MP Lee Anderson she's excited to save the country. The Conservative group on Bolsover Council said, "We are naturally disappointed that Councillor Wood no longer feels the Conservative Party is the right home for her politically. We remained focused on the job at hand, holding our Labour Council to account."
Carol, she's been a good councillor, solid councillor, well respected in her area. She's made a brave move and the right move to come to Reform UK. So, yeah, 100% behind her. It's a great addition to the team and expect more to come.
Disruption to first bus services in Sheffield is expected this month as staff who clean and refuel the vehicles go on strike. Workers employed by Bidvest Noonan will walk out after being told their wages will not be increased above the legal minimum. The group earned £278 million in profits in the half year to December 2023. First says plans are in place to mitigate the impact. We have contacted Bidvest Noonan for a response but haven't heard anything. Now, animal charities in Yorkshire have welcomed a tough new law change, which means thieves targeting family pets could face up to 5 years behind bars.
Before the Pet Abduction Act came into force, the theft of a cat or dog was treated like stealing an inanimate object like a phone or a handbag, and it attracted less harsh sentences.
Well, the new legislation reflects the impact on animal and owner, and it's hoped it will help cut a growing market in stolen pets. Nick Smith has more.
For most owners, a pet is a member of the family, and being separated without knowing where they are is devastating. But until recently, in legal terms, they were considered simple property, meaning the theft of animals, especially dogs, was often seen as high reward for low risk. That is until the Pet Abduction Act came into force. Jeff Edmond is one of the RSPCA's lead officers for Yorkshire.
Now this gives animals real protection, and we have to recognise that animal sentience is recognised in law. Animals have feeling, so if a dog or a cat is stolen, it means that it's going to be frightened, it's going to be stressed by the people who have stolen from it, it's been taken away from its home address, taken away from the family where it lives. So we really need to see legislation like this taking place, and we're delighted it's now in place.
A recent Freedom of Information request revealed that 727 dogs were reported as stolen in West Yorkshire between 2019 and February this year. Well, the figure is 534 for South Yorkshire and 123 for North Yorkshire. There are preventative measures you can take. Half of dog thefts occur from the home, so it's vital your property is secure with measures to deter trespassers. If you post pictures of your dog on social media, avoid addresses or specific locations from being identified. When out and about, ensure your dog is visible at all times and never leave them unattended in public areas or alone in parked cars.
Dog theft has got bigger and bigger year on year. People are scared now about their dogs being taken.
Debbie Matthews is co-founder of the Stolen and Missing Pets Alliance and had her previous dogs abducted and eventually returned. The experience drove her to work with MPs to push for this new law change.
My 2 dogs were sold on for cash within a week. There is also the worry that the dogs are kept for breeding, so actually the money they're going to be making from that dog is huge. So, but if they do get caught and they get fined £250, there is no risk really. There wasn't really much police can do. Now we've got a proper crime. The police can spend time on this. They can help people. And we've started to see a difference actually from a few police forces.
So pet owners can finally expect recognition that their beloved companions, in the eyes of the law, are now worth far more than simple objects. Nick Smith, ITV News.
Yeah, it's an awful crime, isn't it? Because pets really are part of the family.
They absolutely are, very much so. Well, the ITV Evening News is coming up shortly. Here's a look at what's happening with Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on the programme, one-word Ofsted grades for schools are scrapped with immediate effect. It comes after the suicide of head teacher Ruth Perry, but her family say the move is long overdue. After the riots, 1 month on, we visit Tamworth to examine the offence that led to an attack on a hotel housing asylum seekers. And we will be speaking to Sir Ian McKellen as he stars in his first film since his West End fall. Do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
We will. Thanks very much indeed, Mary. Time for some sport now, though, and news of more medal success at the Paralympics.
Xero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
And Chris is with us in the studio. And Chris, success, a record-breaking day at the Paralympics.
It was yesterday indeed, Lisa. Yeah, a couple of our athletes front and centre of it as well. Hannah Cockcroft from Halifax and Leeds' Kadina Cox with 2 of the 12 gold medals won by Paralympics GB on a memorable day in Paris. And there was also a bronze for an adopted Yorkshireman, 400-metre runner Guillaume Junior Atangana, who moved to Bradford from Cameroon, was representing the refugee team. Now, no surprises here that Hurricane Hannah Cockcroft was once again in imperious form, winning her 8th Paralympic gold medal overall and maintaining her dominance of the T34 100 metres, which is won at the past 4 Paralympics. And earlier in the day, cyclist Kadina Cox, who crashed out of the individual time trial last week after recent injury and mental health issues, bounced back to win gold as part of the mixed team sprint. Great scenes there with her family.
Yeah, isn't that brilliant? But sad news over the weekend in the world of football, Chris.
Yeah, there really was, Ian. Really sad, this one. Tributes have been paid to the former Leeds United captain Sol Bamba, who passed away on Saturday, aged just 39. Now, Bamba joined Leeds from Italian side Palermo in 2015 and played over 50 matches for the club. He was a popular player in the dressing room and with the fans. Steve Evans was one of his managers at Elland Road.
If he played against you, you sang songs about him and you didn't like him, but actually deep down you loved him. He was the one you would sing about. He was the one you would knock off, if you like, but they knew how good he was. He was a competitor on the pitch. He was a warrior. And off the pitch, he was an absolute gentleman, not only to me, but to my family.
Steve Evans remembering Sol Bamba there. Well, as for the football itself, over the weekend, Bamba's former club Leeds maintained their unbeaten start to the season. New signing Manos Solomon creating the first for Matteo Joseph in a 2-0 win over Hull at Elland Road. Meanwhile, tempers flared at Bramall Lane after the Blades beat Watford by 1-0, whereas Sheffield Wednesday were beaten heavily at Millwall. Huddersfield went ahead at Rotherham in League One, but the Millers stormed back to recall their first win of the season. Malik Wilkes with the winner in stoppage time. Manager Steve Evans, clearly a happy and probably relieved man as well. Adam Phillips scored twice for Barnsley as they won 3-0 at Crawley. And despite taking the lead at home to Stockport through Hiram Boateng, Mansfield had to settle for a point. Doncaster were our only winners in League Two. Luke Molyneux scoring his 4th and 5th goals of the season as Donny made it 3 wins out of 4 with a 3-2 victory at Port Vale.
Now then, if you were among those queuing for Oasis tickets, you will be only too well aware how prices almost doubled as you waited, and some fans have shelled out more than £1,000 to watch the Gallagher's reunion.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? It's highlighted just how expensive watching top performers can be and might explain why more and more people are turning to tribute acts as a cut-price alternative.
Well, it actually turns out that Yorkshire is leading the scene with its own tribute version of Glastonbury. James Webster has been finding out more.
Stacey Squires from Barnsley's been singing for 20 years, but for the past 10 has been performing as a Pink tribute act. But she says in the last couple of years in particular, there's been a big increase in bookings.
We've got a lot of different tributes, from Rag and Bone Man to Eminem to Tina Turner. You've got Elton John. It's absolutely, it's quite busy with tribute acts at the moment. The work is getting a lot more frequent around. It's up and down the country, it's not just in Yorkshire.
And there are more acts than ever celebrating the songs of some of the biggest names in music. So much so, entire festivals celebrate their performances. Tribfest in East Yorkshire bills itself as the world's biggest tribute band music festival with more than 50 acts.
We started in 2007 and there was nothing else tribute-wise around the country. Now there seems to be one on every street corner.
After a year of planning the lineup, the organisers spend weeks on site at Sledmere House, getting ready for almost 5,000 fans to arrive.
This year, there's 42 major festivals gone bust. So those festivals that have gone, I think people are looking at more affordable options like ours to actually come and enjoy themselves.
The thing I love about it the most is it's the dream lineup. You've got anyone from any era, dead, alive, anything. You can just see it all in a weekend. The most common thing that people say is, When I close my eyes, you can't tell the difference.
With some big-name acts playing fewer but bigger shows, some smaller venues say they have to rely on imitation acts to draw in the crowds.
The reality is that new and original artists are finding it very difficult to tour, very expensive to tour. There's less of that content out there, and music venues across the country are looking for something to fill that gap. There is another thing that's happening at the same time. You know, the top level tier tickets are getting more and more expensive. We are seeing increasing numbers of people priced out of that market. And you want a great night out with your family or your friends, and you want to hear the songs that you really love.
They say imitation is the highest form of flattery. Historically, tribute acts have been poked fun at. Now they are increasingly being celebrated and drawing bigger and more appreciative audiences. James Webster, ITV News.
Interesting. You know, I once knew a lady who did an Alison Moyet tribute act, and she actually went on to win Stars in Her Eyes.
Oh, well, that's
not
some
bad,
pretty
is
good
it?
tribute,
Jackie
isn't it?
Chan was in it. Now, finally tonight, I feel human again. The words of former miner David Creamer after finally getting vital dental treatment, which has allowed him solid food.
Yes, you might remember David's story from earlier this year. He'd been living on soup and painkillers for months after a number of his teeth fell out and he couldn't find an NHS dentist.
Well, today at his home in Rotherham, David said, well, he was finally getting the work done, had been a great thing and given him a new lease of life, and was looking forward to eating pie for the first time in a year. Adam Fowler has been to meet him.
We first brought you the story of 63-year-old David Creamer back in January. He'd been waiting the best part of a year for dental surgery and was living on soup and painkillers.
It's been a struggle to eat proper food. Steak's out of the question, unless it's steak soup, and I can just drink it.
It's a different story now, though.
I'm starting to eat food which is a little bit better than just soup and rice pudding, and 3 bentos pie. Not had one of them for over a year. So it's good food, and it's nice to have real, well, teeth that work again. And even in the freezer, I've got chicken. I've never had chicken for ages. My teeth were okay until last year. I had no problems till the top crown just packed in after eating a sandwich. And I was starting to look like an extra from Lord of the Rings. You know, with a say to my mouth, it was absolutely disgrace. And now I feel human again. I didn't want to go out before, and I was talking funny. But I'm hoping that I can start to talk a little bit more natural again.
David lost a crown and 5 teeth and needed dental work that cost more than £5,000. The bottom row still needs some work and he has to have surgery next year, but he's on a fraction of the painkillers he once was.
The worst part about it wasn't so much missing the teeth. It was the pain that was coming from the existing teeth and having to take painkillers every day and just eat soup and rice pudding or anything that was just soft. It was the only thing I could get down.
The case was brought up in Parliament by his MP, Sarah Champion.
He's been living for over a year on painkillers and soup. I've raised it with the Minister. I've got no satisfaction. This is what Tory Britain is doing to dentistry.
David got his new teeth thanks to a dentist reallocating funds for those who need emergency NHS appointments, although he still can't believe how far the story travelled.
Calendar was here in January, and they were followed by the BBC. Then it came to Talk TV. They had me on. Jeremy Vine wanted me on. I even got as far as Blackpool Gazette and America. It was on an American channel. The first time I've seen myself ever on YouTube. Very embarrassing, but there you go. Pity you don't get paid for that.
David's no longer reluctant to go out. His new teeth helping put a spring in his step. Adam Fowler, ITV News, Rotherham.
I'll see, we told you all first, and we were first to bring you the good news, so we wish David all the very best.
And hopefully we helped get a result for him, which was great. Nashers to be proud of, I think, there, Lisa.
Absolutely, and enjoying a good slap-up meal, I hope, as well, David, soon. It's Jo with the weather.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Thanks
Thank you. Very good evening to you. An unsettled start to the week and feeling rather humid and muggy today, but some fresher air is on the cards for tomorrow. Difficult to predict when and where showers will occur over the next few days, but it's quite an unsettled week ahead. In general, feeling cooler tomorrow, but humidity will be rising once more in the run-up to the weekend, and the risk of thundery downpours will then again increase. In a bit more detail, we can see the jet stream and the temperature console sequence for the next few days. Briefly fresher air moving in through tomorrow and Wednesday, and then perhaps just beginning to see things warming up a little bit before this weekend, but that is going to mean some unsettled air moving in as well, and the threat of a few heavy thundery downpours to end this week. Of course, we'll keep you posted on that. But in the meantime, this evening, for most places across Yorkshire, it's becoming a little bit drier, quieter, some mist and fog for the Dales and the Pennines, and 1 or 2 showers for South Yorkshire. But for the most part, a quieter night to come with the risk of thunder dying away. Bit of mistiness here and there, and it's by no means chilly, 12 or 13 degrees away from towns and cities before tomorrow morning. On to tomorrow, and first of all, the sun will be rising at 6:19, setting at 10 to 8 tomorrow evening. It's likely it could be a bit of a cloudy start tomorrow, but skies will brighten quite quickly. A few showers through the course of the morning, again largely south of the Humber, and these begin to push eastwards and peter out through the afternoon. So brighter skies across Yorkshire and fine conditions to end the day, but noticeably fresher. We've lost the humidity briefly, so 20 Celsius will be our maximum temperature tomorrow, with largely fine and dry conditions tomorrow evening. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Thank you very much, Joe. Looking a bit of a mixed bag for the next few days or so, but not too bad, not too bad.
Not really much good, the weather getting better at the end of the day, is it?
Well, it means you can go home and enjoy your evening in the garden.
Oh, you enjoy your evening. I'll be here for our late news, so I'll be here. Hope you will be too. Good night.
Bye-bye.